Hello and welcome back to the DFS Premier League show brought to you by VIP-bet.com. I'm your host Kevin DeVries. Joining me as always in that box right over there, I suppose it's more of a rectangle, but it's my good friend Rob Langevin. He's also a partner in crime. He likes that phrase. I'm not really sure why. But tell folks why you like that phrase actually. Let's start the show on that.
Because I like to meet or exceed people's expectations right off the bat, and by a tag like that, people are going to know he may be trouble, but he probably likes to party. And I do like to party. So.
And we ride or die.
Yeah, we're totally about riding or dying. Not individually or collectively, riding and dying or dying. So.
Right. Riding and or dying?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we do both. But thank you for welcoming to me the show, Kevin. Yeah. Welcome everybody viewing at home. Welcome to the Saturday slate of 6 games. Now people are excited because there's another slate of games on Tuesday. So yay! Maybe if we have some time and some reckoning in between our actual lives, instead of sitting in front of a camera talking to you about fantasy stats and caching things and stuff
isn't
of
that the
nature.
Following Tuesday?
Is it?
I don't know. I think because FA Cup is next weekend.
I know it's on a Tuesday. That's all I know.
It's going up on a Tuesday, for sure.
There you go.
An indeterminate Tuesday, but we'll be talking to you sometime on a Tuesday. That.
Some indiscreet day that ends in a Y, we'll be back.
Oh, yeah, one of those Y days. Love those.
Yeah, they come so infrequently now. It's like Halley's Comet and the super moon.
Wait, what was that other comet that was supposed to... The Hale-Bopp Comet? Is that
Sure.
it?
I don't know.
Let us know!
That sounds like Barney's friend on the cartoon Hale-Bopp.
Man, I really hope I didn't make that up. All right, as you mentioned, there's 6 matches on this slate. It's been a long time since we've had a short slate. We got up to 8, we had a few 7s, now we're back to 6. But we're going to stay with this kind of rotational method that we've been addressing these matches in the past. So I'll slide up here into this screen where you can see all the people we're going to be talking about. We'll start with this Bournemouth-Watford match, and we'll start with you, Rob, talking us through who you think are people of interest in this one.
The thing I like about this game is there's going to be goals. I don't see this game being any type of clean, so if you're looking for a defensive metric here to be in your favor, I don't see it. So the first guy I'm looking at is mine and Kevin's favorite at 6,700, Junior Stanislas. Kevin already knew I was going to say it. That's why he's chuckling. Look at his last 3, 13, 14, and 16 in his last 3. I've done 2 lineups so far this week, and he's been my first entry point. I usually go for the highest price guy and then work my way back down, but Junior is my first entry point into the lineup. Listen, he does things that other players do at a bigger price at 6,700. So you're getting a bargain. He's a midfield facilitator. He can score. He can do basically everything. He's a jack of all trades.
Takes penalties.
That as well. And Watford is pretty bad defensively. They're not awful, but they're not Bournemouth bad. But they're
not good.
Watford good. They're not Watford good either. You know, just for a fun little stat, Bournemouth has led in 24 goals in their last 10 all-comp competitions. So that's something to look forward to. But I'm going to stray into that in a little bit. There's also somebody else I like in this. With Gomez injured, Pantilimon could be a good, cheap entry point into a goalkeeper at 3,900. So keep an eye on that if you're looking for a cheap way to get into a goalkeeper and stack your lineup with bigger names and bigger stars. Guys I don't like on this team, basically anybody who's playing on the front for Watford, they just don't do enough for me. Funny stat, Etienne Capoue has the only 10-point game or above in the last 4 matches for a Watford midfielder or forward. That's not an encouraging stat, people. I had to dig and actually do research to find that, so you're welcome. Score-wise in this game, I don't think either side keeps it clean, but I think Bournemouth does get the tally in their favor. I'll say 2-1 Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think that sounds perfectly reasonable. Question for you. You mentioned Pantilimon there and how cheap he is. At a certain point, do you start considering kind of punting goalkeeper? It seems to be a very random position.
I do. It depends. The goalkeepers on this slate, listen, David De Gea is going to get tons of love in this slate because they have Stoke and United are one of the better defensive teams. But after that, people are going to be scared to use Lloris because they think City is some offensive juggernaut right now, but they're really not. Nobody's using the City goalkeeper. West Brom, Sunderland, it could go either way, so I could see some ownership both there for Manone and Foster. But there's no real goalkeeper that I think that someone's going to narrow in on this week. It's going to be a good disparity of ownership for a lot of goalkeepers this week. So, I mean, that's why I narrowed down to Pantilimon, because you're always looking for a cheap goalkeeper based on the names in the slate. There's a lot of middle-priced guys that I like, and you could squeeze 4 to 5 middle-priced guys in instead of getting one high-priced guy and, say, 3 middle-priced guys. And if that comes at the behest of their goalie, then by all means go get Pantilimon.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point from you. I'm going to say 2-1 Bournemouth, but I'm always wrong on Bournemouth. So if you're actually betting, maybe go against that. For me, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about this Crystal Palace-Everton match. The first guy, and I think he has to be noted because he's taking a lot of those set pieces, is Kevin Morales. He's at 6,000 right now. He's been on a tear, averaging 13 points per game over his last 5 starts. The fact that he does take those set pieces gives him some crosses, which are really helping. His interplay with Lukaku and open play has been very, very good, and has kind of led to this mid-season resurgence we've seen from Everton that was really capitalized last week with that big win over Manchester City. And Crystal Palace's defense is known for being pretty awful. So I think there's a lot of value there. He could, in theory, be up against Jeffrey Schlupp, who Crystal Palace just signed, but he's always been more of a winger than an actual wing back. And his first match with the club, I'm just not so sure that's really going to have any impact, really. Obviously, the other interesting one is Tom Davies. If you're looking for a super cheap option, I think he's 3,900, if memory serves. And 3,500.
Very cheap, very cheap.
I mean, his ownership is probably going to spike a lot, but I mean, kind of along the Pantilimon line, there are some times when punting's okay. I probably wouldn't recommend doing both, but if Tom Davies gets a start, he has looked good. Doesn't get super extended minutes all the time, but if he does play, if he does start, there will be some value there, and that value will be above 3,500. The question is, you only get, 9 slots? I don't think I've ever actually counted. So do you want a player with such a low floor to be one of those 9 players? At that point, you're kind of battling that number. For me, it's probably no, but I'm sure there's some folks out there that would want to be interested there in Tom Davies a bit. For the player I don't like, it's going to be, drum roll as I scroll slowly so I don't shift this whole page, Christian Benteke. Even though he's at only 6,800, he has just 7 points in the last 5 matches combined. That's not an average. That is total points. 7 and 5. No Zaha still. Townsend has looked awful. Is being rumored to be going back to Newcastle. I already mentioned Schlupp. I'm not sure where we'll see him or if he'll have much of an impact. And Everton's defense has been improved a lot lately. If there are Belgian players listed at forward that you're thinking of getting, the 2 top ones you should be getting are both on Everton. And then maybe Benteke, but I really, really would not roll that way. I think Everton are going to put Palace to the sword a bit here. I'm going to say 3-0.
Yeah, that's a good call. I like what Everton's been doing defensively in the last couple of games. They're also a good place to look for a defensive, probably a more expensive defender in this game, like a Baines or a Coleman. I think that'd probably be your 1A defender. But the goals are definitely going to be there for Everton because Palace is leaky. They still have 1 clean sheet since I think last April, which is just god awful. I'll say 3-0. I agree with you. I think Everton does have some goal capability, so it's going to be either 2 or 3-0.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a pretty one, but it may be a fun watch.
Yeah.
All right, so on to you now, talking to us a little bit here about this Middlesbrough versus West Ham match. Borough making some interesting moves. They signed Gusted a couple weeks back. Today they signed Patrick Bamford. Are you expecting to see much from those guys, or are you going to stick with the guys that have been there a bit longer?
Yeah, I think Gusted is a closer kind of forward, and I don't think Bamford's going to see any time with the first team yet. The guys I like in this game is the midfielder do-it-all for West Ham is Michael Antonio. 7,500, his last 4 games, 25, 9, 13, and 15. I think that with Payet not playing and winding his way off the club and basically paddling his way back to France, I think Antonio is the best beneficiary of him leaving because he's being able to do basically a do-it-all. He can do everything now. he's already been playing everywhere, so now he's going to be able to do it all in maybe a more centralized or more attacking role. The only bad thing about that is Burrow is a top 5 defensive team. So if you're looking for a secondary defender this week, this is my second like of this game. Look for a Burrow defender. How about Callum Chambers at 3,300, or even a cheap shout out to Bernardo at 3,100. I do know they have some injuries in the back for Burrow, so I don't know who's going to feature or whatnot. But check your lineups beforehand. Guys, I don't like in this game. Stay away from Andy Carroll at 5,900. I know people are probably going to jump on him because of the ownership, but Burrow just devours attacking forwards. They're a top 5 defense for a reason, and at 5,900, there's a reason he's so priced so low, because he's not going to do much against a defense that's probably going to shut him out. I'll say this game's probably going to be low scoring. It's probably 1-0, maybe 2-1, probably to West Ham. I'll give West Ham the nod here. I think they overcome the Burrow defense.
Fair enough. It's an interesting point on Andy Carroll. In the old format of this show, used to say just because they're cheap doesn't mean that they're a bargain. I think this is kind of the situation there for Carroll. I think it's going to go the other way. I think Borough have been very impressive defensively. And the fact that they're at home, that's where they've been so lethal. I think it's going to be 1-0 to Borough, and it's probably going to be somebody super useless. That's my prediction. Somebody that just does not help people at all. All right, now I'm going to talk to you folks a little bit about this Manchester United and Stoke match. For me, I was thinking about going Pogba, and then the last 2 matches I think has been 5 and 6 points, which isn't very encouraging. He is playing as the 10 now, which you do like, but some of the results haven't been there. Stoke's defense has improved lately. So how about we lean over to the defense and hit up Tony Valencia on 5,000. Has the most successful crosses in the Premier League now of all players. 10-plus crosses in 2 of his last 3 matches, which is just nuts, especially for a defender. Stoke did turn on the flare last week. Don't think they'll do it against Manchester United, who, like Borough, also have a top 5 defense. Really like Tony Valencia this week. For somebody that I dislike, it's somebody that I like in a lot of other formats, but it's Peter Crouch. On 5,100, like I said, love him in other formats, but in this, his price compared to the other players around him is much higher, and you don't get any long-term benefit in this format. So you're just getting a snapshot against that top 5 defense that I just mentioned. I know he's trying to get his 100th goal, and everybody's doing the bring back the robot hashtag on Twitter. I love it. I love all of it. I just don't think it's going to happen this week. I think, kind of like you were saying with Carroll, that we're going to see Crouch be over-owned because of what he's done the past few weeks. I just don't think this is the week to do it. I'd say probably avoid him in this one. I think Manchester United are going to walk this one a little bit. 2-1, maybe?
I'll say 2-0. I think United keeps it clean. I think Stoke blew their load, so to speak, last week with the early goals from Arnautovic.
Yeah.
I think United's defense is going to come together better against what we saw last week from when they played Liverpool. I'd say 2-0 United. Keep an eye on the starting lineup for United, though. It could be a Juan Mata from the start game. I'm hearing some rumors that he may get a start here.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, especially if he's in the shop window. All right, on to you, talking to us a little bit about West Brom Sunderland, because that sounds fun.
Well, it's fun. It's funny. We always just assign. We try to split the difference between the games, and it's funny. I got the 3 games that Kevin basically knew exactly who I'm going to say when it became my turn. So my like this week is West Brom midfielder Matty Phillips, 6,700.
Bless up.
You knew it was going to happen, people, because it should happen. Look at what he's done in the last couple games. His price tag is just phenomenal for his output. And Sunderland, for their defensive output, is going to feed right into Matty Phillips' benefit. Because guess what? He's going to be attacking the same side that Patrick Van Aanholt likes to attack from. So he's going to be there most of the game, just devouring the Sunderland defense. On defense, I just mentioned his name. It's Patrick Van Aanholt at 4,900. He has under 6 points in his last 6 games. That's not good for someone who's usually in the top 10, maybe 8 highest priced defenders. Yeah. Listen, spend the extra $100, $100, $200. Go get Leighton Baines. Everton has a better game. He's more involved in the free kicks, the place kick, the corner kicks. He's going to get you those little metric points that are just going to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. Also, keep an eye on West Brom as from a defensive standpoint. Chris Brunt is a little bit more expensive. He's at 5,100, but he's a superb crossing threat. I think he probably gets enough in this to make his dollar value seem worthy. There's going to be goals in this game, but the funny thing is I can't tell you who's going to score more, Sunderland or West Brom. So I'll say a 2-2 tie.
Interesting. I think West Brom may be able to restrict Sunderland a little bit. You will have the de facto Defoe goal. And we know West Brom are going to keep a clean sheet, so I do think they'll let in one, but I think West Brom win this one 2-1. They were very disappointing last week, so that's kind of a tempered thing. If they really hit their stride the way they had weeks before, it could get pretty ugly there, which obviously would make Rondon interesting. Maybe Chadley would actually show up. I liked your shout for Brunt. And as you said, Matty Phillips up against an attacking Patrick Van Aanholt is definitely somebody that is hopefully going to have a very big match for the people that own him. All right, and we'll wrap up over here with... I've clicked things poorly. How do I stop that? Tech gremlins to the rescue. Well, here it is. I didn't scroll up enough, but he's right there anyway. How about a little bit of Harry Kane action? In ridiculous form right now is Harry Kane. He's averaging a career high 0.86 goals per 90, so basically a goal a match. His hat trick last week makes him just one behind the league leaders in goals, and he's going up against a City defense that just conceded 4 to Everton. So really, really like Harry Kane. I mentioned on our other show yesterday that at this point the City defense is not just a non-factor; it's almost a benefit with how leaky they've been. Claudio Bravo, I forget what that stat was, but the goals allowed to goals saved is ridiculously poor from him. It's 14 in the last 21 shots. Have been
14
allowed
goals
in
the last 20. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's real bad. So I'll hit you with a broad stroke. I dislike the City defenders. We can get a little more specific though. How about you look at the top of the heap here with Kevin De Bruyne on 9,500. An 11-point average over his last 5 is decent, but not really at that kind of price where he's like one of the most expensive players every week. The crosses are still there, but basically every other stat has dropped off. Tottenham have the best defense in the league, so don't really think this is the week it turns around. Also, Bravo's crap. Also, Aguero at 9,100 versus Tottenham's defense, I feel is a lot less enticing than Harry Kane against City's defense. But I can never publicly say to cut off Aguero because last year I said to drop him right before the Newcastle game where he scored 5. So I will never say to not play Aguero. I just think Kane is a better value. Yeah, is how we'll phrase that. All right, for this one, oh man, it's going to be close. And I have really, really bad news for myself, which is I have tickets to go see a show with the girl I'm seeing. So I'm going to miss the second half of this and have to watch it recorded later. Actually, Rob, you're a good advice guy. Should I not watch any of it and watch the whole match after? Or should I kind of split it in halves, which is what I'm currently thinking? No,
I think you should watch it all at once because, you know, if something interesting happens in the first half, you're going to want to kind of want to see the rollover from the second half. So I think you should watch it straight through, and then you could fast forward through halftime.
Yep. All right. Well, then that's what I'm going to do. But I do think this will be very interesting, despite the fact that I'll be about 3 hours late to the result. Oh, man. Oh, I really hate this. I'm going to go... with no Vertonghen? How about 2-2? How about Tottenham finally let in some open play goals? Tottenham have only let in 5 open play goals this season, which is nuts. But maybe while they're shifting things around, maybe it'll be a back 4, which we haven't played in a while. Maybe it'll be unsettled a bit. Maybe Aguero does get in there and score just because I said he's bad. Maybe De Bruyne scores a free kick because I told you to not buy him. But I'll go with 2-2, maybe.
I'll say 2-1. And I think the City goal will come from somebody that's a sub, not a starter.
Ooh, Iheanacho.
Yeah, there you go. But I think Tottenham gets on top of this. Harry Kane is too enticing to not own right now, especially compared to the 9,100 of Sergio Aguero.
Yeah.
So every week me and Kevin make a team. I made a team real quick for everybody just to run it down for everybody. Some guys I like, the guys I like. So here's my team. I got Robles in goal. I got Baines and Bernardo on defense. I got Phillips, Stanislas in midfield, Kane and Mikel Antonio at forward spot, and then I have Kevin Morelish in the utility.
Nice. We double dipped on some of the same guys. I have Darren Randolph against Middlesbrough, who do still have the lowest chances created this season. Baines, who you name dropped, Macaulay. I threw in a little bit of Della Ali there. And you mentioned Stanislas, who I did have in there. But when I made a team of the players that I wanted, I was like 1,200 short. Or 1,200 left. I was like, oh, well, I mean, this will upgrade someone. So that's how I got up to Della Ali. I have Pogba in this team. Forgot to change that. Ibrahimovic, Kevin Morales, and Matty Phillips. I really like Morales as a forward this week at 6,000. I wasn't just really name dropping him. I don't know how I still had Pogba in there. Again, these are our first teams of the week. But I remember looking at that stat and being like, I don't want Pogba this week. But somehow he snuck in there under the wire. The other thing,
Morales may be the bargain of the week.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna have low ownership. Maybe not low to like unowned, but low to moderate ownership because I don't think people trust him completely. Morales is one of those players who has 1 or 2 games where he looks dynamite and then he basically falls off the face of the earth. So at 6,000, it's a good bet and a good differential for the week.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. While we're talking about things happening this week, we usually talk about what score we think will win the week. We do have 6 matches, but some of them are pretty even. Where do you think we'll end up this week?
Probably like 140. 140.
I could see us getting up to 150 if that Tottenham City game opens up. But yeah, it's the same place around there. And you mentioned you wanted to talk before we start recording about how this prize money keeps dropping.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, fantasy football, the other American football is basically dwindling down, and baseball hasn't started. NBA is still in, but I don't understand what's going on with the prize pool here. I mean, soccer is the most played sport in the world. Why don't you get some love for the people who want to play and pay for cash?
Yeah. What's it down to now?
16,000 guaranteed.
Yeah, it's not super great. Although I think first place has been 1,500 for a while. It's just the number of people at the bottom of the money, like it keeps narrowing.
Yeah, it shrinks. Yeah, it shrinks.
Which is obviously not ideal. But we hope you do well there. Hopefully not as well as us, but we'll see. My team last week was awful. So it really wasn't that bad. It was just one of those weeks where there were so many goals that that kind of got a little bit out of control. But Rob, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Smokey_Loogie, or you can find my writings and stylings on Razzball.com.
Also,
and I'll be doing a live chat tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PlayTaga.com. So stop by, drop some questions. Could be DFS, could be Taga, could be official game. Doesn't matter. You could ask me what my favorite cookies are. I don't care. I'm still going to answer it.
Fair enough. If it's not Snickerdoodles, you're wrong. I'm Kevin DeVries at Kevroff on Twitter. You can find our shows over at EPL Roundtable, where we have the fantasy show that Rob and I do, the regular Premier League show that I do with a whole bunch of other guests, and the championship show if you're interested in a league down. Also, I write for the EaglesBeak.com. And also, all of this goes out on allinsportstalk.com, so be sure to check them out as well. All right, big thanks to VIP-Bet for putting us on this, and good luck to all of you this week, and we'll catch you next time.
We're looking forward to hearing from you. Get in touch with us. VIP-Bet, your place to win.